wild had gone silent, too silent. Farmers were waking up to torn fences, trampled crops, and massive hoofprints cutting through their fields. Something powerful had returned to the valley, and this time it wasn't passing through. It was claiming territory. What followed were days and nights of relentless tracking, perfect shots, and encounters that tested every bit of instinct we had. This wasn't just another hunt. It was precision, patience, and raw survival, captured moment by moment. The first signs were easy to miss. Farmers in nearby villages started noticing strange patterns, crushed fences, torn up soil, and deep hoofprints cutting across the muddy ground. The fields that had once been quiet were now marked by chaos every morning. By the end of the week, there was no doubt left. The wild boars were back, and this time they weren't just passing through. They were settling in. Our team decided to move in before dawn, when the valley still holds its breath. The air was cool and still, and every sound felt sharper than usual. We positioned ourselves near the lower end of the cornfield, where the ground was soft and full of tracks. The dogs began to stir before we even saw movement. A sudden rustle in the stalks, a burst of energy, and then it began. 3 massive boars breaking through the rows at full speed, sending dirt and leaves flying. I steadied my aim and took one clean shot. My partner followed a second later, another clean hit. The third vanished into the mist. That was enough to confirm it. This wasn't an isolated raid. The herd had moved back into the valley for real. Later that day, we gathered the team to plan the night setup. Locals spoke of a larger male, a boar so old and massive that even seasoned hunters avoided his territory. Cameras were placed strategically around the fields and creek lines. Motion sensors were linked to our monitors, and the dogs were kept on standby. By nightfall, the quiet was almost unnerving. Around midnight, we caught the first faint grunt on the sensors. The sound came closer, steady but cautious. Through the thermal scope, the shape appeared. Broad shoulders, thick hide, slow, deliberate steps. The kind of animal that knows what danger smells like. He moved along the edge, testing the air. Then, just for a second, he turned toward the open. That was the moment. One perfect shot, and it was over before the echo faded. For hunters, moments like these aren't about the numbers. They're about precision and patience paying off. Ever taken a clean night shot that still gives you chills thinking about it? Share it below. The following morning, we decided to track a smaller group that had escaped the night before. Their trail led downhill, cutting through tall grass and loose soil until it met the riverbed. The dogs were restless, pulling hard on the leash, noses low and tails rigid. As we reached the edge of the water, everything stopped. Silence. Then, without warning, splashes erupted, half a dozen boars charging across the shallow stream, scattering mud and water in every direction. It was chaos compressed into seconds. Shots rang out, echoes bouncing off the banks. 2 went down instantly. 1 stumbled further downstream before collapsing, while the rest vanished into the reeds. The chase ended as suddenly as it began. Everything, the dogs, our boots, the gear, was drenched. But the footage we got from that sequence was worth every soaked step. River hunts are unpredictable. They demand fast reactions, sharp instincts, and a little bit of luck. If you enjoy watching that kind of raw, real action, you know exactly why we keep doing this stuff by mid-afternoon. The team regrouped near the northern ridge. It's the roughest part of the area. Sharp inclines, dense brush, and barely any visibility. But it's also where the younger boars tend to gather after sunrise. Broken bark, freshly dug soil, and disturbed roots guided our way. We moved in quietly, letting the dogs lead the rhythm. Within minutes, they locked onto a scent. What happened next was the fastest encounter of the day. A small group burst out from behind a cluster of bushes, running directly across our line. 3 quick shots, all hits. Clean, efficient, controlled. As the sound of the gunfire faded, we took a moment to breathe and take it all in. The valley stretched out below us, quiet again for the first time in days. Hunting isn't always about the adrenaline or the footage. Sometimes it's about the balance, knowing when to act and when to let the wild be. That evening, we reviewed the footage collected from all 3 days. From thermal captures of the alpha male to drone shots following the river chase, every frame told a different story. It wasn't just about hunting. It was about documenting behavior, learning the patterns, understanding how these animals adapt to survive despite constant human presence. Every step, every camera setup, every late-night watch contributes to that understanding. We noticed how the herd moved as a unit, how the young followed the same trails each night, and how the larger boars always stayed downwind of open areas. These are the tiny details that separate a good hunt from a great one. As the days went on, we returned to the same valley, adjusting traps and cameras to new routes. The activity had shifted deeper into the woods. We followed, setting up near a line of old oaks where we found fresh prints and torn bark. It was slow going, but patience pays off in the wild. Just before dusk, faint movement caught our eye through the thermal lens, a pair of boars pushing through the brush. We stayed low, waiting for the right angle. One clean shot dropped the first. The second tried to circle back, but got caught in the trap we had set earlier that morning. The coordination between gear, timing, and instinct felt flawless. Moments like these remind you that even with technology, nothing replaces experience. As the sun sank behind the ridge, the valley turned quiet again. The team packed up slowly, every step sinking into the soft soil. We'd cleared most of the active zones, and the farmers who had called us here could finally breathe easy. The fields were safe for now. But in this kind of terrain, peace never lasts long. The herds move, regroup, and return with the next season. That's part of what keeps us coming back too. The challenge, the precision, and the respect for what we track. Back at camp, we cleaned our rifles and checked the footage one last time. Each clip showed something new. How the herd reacts to light, how fast they split under pressure, how the older males shield the younger ones. It's not just about control. It's about understanding the rhythm of the land and the animals that live in it. When you've spent enough time out here, you realize the hunt is as much about observation as it is about action. If you've ever spent a night out waiting, listening to every sound in the dark, you know the kind of focus it demands. The hours of stillness, the unpredictable bursts of energy. They test patience more than anything else. Every successful hunt is built on hundreds of quiet, uneventful hours where nothing happens. But when that one moment finally arrives, it makes everything worth it. We'll be heading back next week to scout the southern ridge, where tracks have been spotted again. The team's preparing new infrared setups and tighter perimeter monitoring. This isn't just about clearing the fields. It's about studying and preserving balance, keeping human and wildlife zones distinct while maintaining respect for both. For those who follow our hunts closely, your support helps us improve gear, upgrade our tracking systems, and explore new terrains across the region. If you want to see the uncut captures, the behind-the-scenes footage, and our next setups in full detail, you can join our members section. It's where we post the real footage. No filters, no edits, just raw hunting sessions as they happen. From night thermal hunts to precision day tracking, it's the full experience that rarely makes it to public release. And as always, every view, comment, and shared moment helps this project grow. Another valley, another season, another cycle of life in the wild. The hunt never truly ends. It just changes shape, waiting for the next dawn to begin again.